1,248 days.
Wow.
It's amazing. Or 29,971 hours. That sounds even more. It's like, that's crazy. My original sobriety date was June 10th of 2010. And around year 6, I had this bright idea that God had cured me. So I make this declaration one day that I think God has done the impossible and He has cured me. And so there's this. I mean, my poor wife, she she gets this look on her face, but she doesn't say anything. And the discussion that ensues is more about, what does that look like? Are you going to become a social drinker now, or we're not doing that, right? I'm like, no. All I'm saying is if, right, if I ever decided, I wanted to have a drink, Thanksgiving, something, I guess we were still celebrating those Christmas and things like that back then. And I was like, just whatever, I could have a drink and it would be okay, And that's, that was pretty much the end of the conversation. And well, about a year later, I put it to the test, and it wasn't even intentional. There's this story about this guy that, everything's going fine, no thought of drinking, and then all of a sudden one day, just the thought crosses his mind, and that's sort of what it was. I was on my way home, and it was a warm day, and I got the taste of Jack and Coke in my mouth, which I love Jack and Coke. That was my drink, and so it just looked over, and there's a liquor store.
Oh,
so it's like, oh, it's a sign. So I pulled in, and nothing crossed my radar. No. Walked in there. I bought a little half pint of Jack Daniels and bought a Coke and went out to the car. And I sat there in the parking lot of the liquor store. And it wasn't until I took the drink. And even then, it wasn't this immediate. It was like, oh, I don't feel like explaining this to my wife, even though we've already had a conversation that it would be okay. Because back in that conversation we'd had a year prior, she was like, well, okay, I guess if that's, And so I just, it's like, I don't want to explain this to her. So I went back in and got some gum. Right?
Of course, in another bottle.
Throw the bottle away. Well, I throw the bottle away, right? Because now I got to hide it. That's, all that stuff. And so, it's funny because I walk in the door and she's there to greet me. And then she's kind of like, you been drinking? What?
Nah.
No. Well, make sure it's just okay. All right. So right there, I mean, I got to hide the bottle. I'm lying to her about it. All just like that. The habits are back, and it was a rapid decline from there. After work, quickly came to at work, quickly became to hiding him in the garage, and all of a sudden I had a lot of projects to do out in the garage, my man cave, and so don't disturb me while I'm out there. And yeah, it was horrible. Lasted for about 6 months. Got back, it was one of those nights, I was supposed to be in the man cave doing my thing, and I had been a little short with my wife that night when I came home, which was unusual for me. It upset her. But so I go out to the garage, and I'm sitting there, and I've already put 2 pints down, and getting ready to start on the third when she walks out, right as I'm tipping up the last of the second one, and so then of course I deny how much I've been drinking, at that point, but it's just a kind of one thing, and I sat out there and I drank another pint before he went back in the house, and we sort of pretended like nothing happened for about a week, and then she brought it up, and I said, yeah, I've been drinking more than I said, and so I know what I need to do, right? I need to get back into my recovery with my fellowship and do the right thing, and I did that for about a year, but I was angry. I was I was so angry, and so I wasn't real honest, with the guy that I was working with, and we got just a little ways down the road, and I screw this, and but I had made a promise I wouldn't drink anymore. So an alcohol can do a little mess, right?
Yeah.
And so that started that progression, and that went about 3 months. And I'll just never forget the look on my wife's face when she found my pipe, in the bathroom, and it just kind of freaked out. And there was a whole. Well, I've told you this story before, right? That's I'm out in the garage, 4:00 in the morning, butt naked, smoking on a pipe, and she walks out there.
That's not the holy time.
No, yeah, right. And so, like any good alcoholic or addict, my response to her catching me out there is not, "Oh, honey, I'll stop, I'll quit, I'll whatever." It's, I run into the bedroom, I get dressed really quick, run to the bank before she can shut it down, because I am convinced at this point, my keen alcoholic intellect tells me she's leaving,
Yeah.
and she probably should have, but she didn't. And but so, yeah, jump on the motorcycle and off I roar. And when I made it back that night, some things that happened throughout that day and into that evening. When I got back that evening, I was ready. The fact that I made it back to my home that evening is kind of what convinced me, because I was intent on not making it back home. When I took off that day, it was, thundering. We were still living in Bakersfield, and it was thundering and clouds, and we knew it was going to rain, and it started raining, and somehow I wound up in Glenville, and finished smoking all the dope that I had and drinking, because I immediately ran to the liquor store, of course.
Yeah.
At that point, and had picked up a couple bottles. I finished all that off, and in my misery, I looked up and I told God that I have no intention of making it home, and if I do, then I'll do something different. And I took off at about 65, 70 mile an hour coming down from Glenville back into Bakersfield, and it was just pouring rain down that back road. And how I got down, I don't know exactly, because I'm not, I ride motorcycle, but I'm not like a good motorcycle rider,
Yeah.
I'm not kind of thing. And so,
Even if you are a good motorcycle rider.
Yeah. Those kind of conditions and stuff. Yeah. It's, and so, I took it for what it was, my belief, that was him saying, get right. You still have work to do, and you're still working for me. So,